To wrap this one up, we're going to Chicago. And I'm going to give you two guys, one of whom everybody wants.
Alex
And the
Caruso.
Bulls
Who's
just
the other?
don't want to trade. And the other one, to my knowledge, the Bulls have absolutely no traction on. And I don't even know if the Bulls want to trade or not.
DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan. Alex Caruso and DeMar DeRozan.
Neither, right? I don't know. It just feels like the Bulls are doing what a lot of these teams are doing that we keep talking about, which is like chase play-in glory. The play-in has done so much. It actually has. Maybe we should just talk about that. Like, hasn't the play-in like really impacted the deadline a lot? Feels like. But anyway.
At least the Bulls are doing it. It's funny. I watched them beat Minnesota. That was last night, right?
Yeah, last night. Yeah.
And you're watching, and it'd been a minute since I locked in and watched a Bulls home game when you're kind of taking in the environment. And this has been a discussion all week long. The idea that the Bulls, even with their mediocrity from a business standpoint, don't have the incentive to blow it up because those Bulls fans, thank you to MJ and the 6 titles, like they remain rabid. And you watch that game.
Yeah, they do. How about when they were booing, a widow recently? So
yeah, that was untoward. But they, that Minnesota game, it's just coming through the television, just how lit that place was. And Caruso is making big plays at the end, and DeMar is getting his name called for the failed game winner in regulation. And it was a little bit of a capsule, if you will, of why they are hanging on here. We know the backstory when Arturas Karnisovas comes from Denver to Chicago and gets a lot of praise early for putting together a team that was making some noise, and they have just been floundering since in mediocrity. And I'm with you, though, that it feels like they will choose to continue doing that. And DeMar is the one for me, not to interject here too much, but like, we focus so much on DeJounte Murray. Like DeMar's a guy that a contender should and could pivot to that would help. And even Fred, I know we've talked offline about how the Knicks see DeMar, and I get it. Like the Knicks don't want to take the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands. That applies to DeMar. That applies to DeJounte. The Lakers, whoever else, man, like, my goodness, like DeMar's still got a lot left. I was reading some stuff today about just the analytics on him with the Bulls the last couple of years. He's been helping that team win on a pretty high level whenever they do win, and could help somebody. It is a little strange that there's not more noise, surrounding him.
I think the thing with DeMar is because of the style of player he is. This is more of a commentary on his style than his quality. Because of the style of player he is, he's someone who's a lot easier to incorporate over an offseason than he is midseason.
Yeah.
Because he commands the ball, because his shot profile is unconventional in today's day and age. And to be clear, I'm not even critiquing him for the shot profile because he has found a way to make it work. He gets to the line all the time. He has turned himself into a fantastic mid-range shooter. He is an efficient player. It's just that the shot profile is not of something that you're going to teach. So now all of a sudden, when you get DeMar, you have to realign your offensive ecosystem and maybe your defensive ecosystem because he's not a defensive-minded player. And that can be hard to do in the middle of a season when everyone's got their groove and everybody knows their roles and all that kind of stuff, where it's easier to do when you have an off season. You can map out a whole offense that's going to include him, and you can work on it through training camp and preseason and figure out how to do it. And I think that's something that a lot of teams consider when they talk about trading for DeMar in the middle of a year as opposed to over an offseason. He's unrestricted coming up. I guess it's possible the Bulls just hold on to him and re-sign him and trudge forward. It's a weird situation. Can I say one quick Bulls thing before we wrap?
Of course. Yeah.
Props to Kobe White.
Yeah.
My goodness. I think he should be in the MIP conversation.
Yeah, he is.
He has, my goodness, how much better has that guy gotten? Since November 22nd, he's averaging 23, 5, and 6. He's taking 8 threes a game and shooting like 43% on those. His efficiency numbers are absolutely through the roof. He's playing winning basketball. Like the Bulls are sneakily on a nice run. All that winning they've done without Zach LaVine, well, it's happening in part because Kobe White has been amazing. He's really become one hell of a player. And by the way, on that contract, 3 years, $33 million, what a steal. Like, Kobe White's career could have gone either way. He could have just been this microwave bench scorer who didn't really give you much else. And now all of a sudden he has transformed into a very good starting guard and clearly worked his ass off. He totally changed his game, and he is such a good player, is still really young. He might end up with a hell of a career.
You do wonder, my final Bulls thought there, and I wish we had our guy Darnell Mayberry on here to break it down because he covers the Bulls and so close to them. You wonder, like Fred, you mentioned DeMar is unrestricted. Kobe White is emerging, rising. There was a fascinating moment in that game I mentioned against Minnesota where they, I think Bulls call timeout. They got time to figure out what they want to do at the end of regulation. And the Bulls commentators talked about how they were, speculating like, well, of course you got DeMar DeRozan, but is this a pass the torch moment? Kobe White is cooking. Like, is this call going to Kobe White? And when they said it, I thought it was fascinating because when you put yourself out there from a commentary standpoint before the play, you run the risk of having it go completely the other way. And in fact, that's what happened. DeMar got the call. I wonder how, for Billy Donovan and the front office and that whole group, moments like that, where is Kobe White been so good that listen, with Zach LaVine out, I know like you've already lost firepower. So it's not like Kobe's going to carry the entire squad. But it does feel like, his emergence could force, certain decisions.
Yeah. Huge game last night in the comeback over Minnesota, 33 in that one.
Down 23, man.
Yeah. Like he is playing amazing basketball. The Bulls should be investing. They've already invested another contract in him, which is, if this is the player that he is, that is one of the most team-friendly contracts in the league. 3 for 33, who a guy's going to give you an efficient 22, 5, and 6 is unbelievable. That's less than the mid-level. Like, that's right. Unbelievable value. And you've already got the financial investment in him. Like, you got to give him the resource investment too, because he has been really good. You got to see everything that you have with him and give him every opportunity to succeed. He's showing that he deserves it.